Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan and it's not Spawn year. It's day 55 of my comic review video day calendar, and today for the first time I've got a special guest. It's my son Jason.
Oh, me.
How's it going, man?
Good.
Today, Jason and I are going to take a look at the most recent comic that I will have done so far for Not Spawn year. And by the way, we are recording from a hotel room in Nebraska right now because Jason has a basketball tournament this weekend, and I am not ahead on these, so I've got to shoot him in the hotel room. So we're going to do this with a different visual format than usual. I'm going to have to just take my phone and show you guys the pages and panels. Hopefully it'll work out okay, but that's what we're going to do. And I thought instead of just making Jason sit in a corner and wait for me, I'd let him in on these. So Jason's going to be in at least a couple of these videos. Are you excited?
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've talked comics together.
Yeah. Why did this have to be the first in a while?
Well, I brought this with me because I've been wanting to do this comic. I thought it would be potentially really amusing. I had not read this before, but I found it last year at a dollar store. This is brand new. This or sort of brand new. I guess it's a year and a half old now, but it's the closest thing to brand new that I've reviewed so far on Not Spawn year, and I just took it out of the shrink wrap. This was in shrink wrap, Jason, and I had to rip it open for us to read it. This is...
It was really funny shrink wrap too. It was really weird. Like there was some cardboard thing. I don't remember.
I should have brought that over here. But anyway, Final Faction, First Impact, #1. Is this mirrored? Is
no.
it mirroring us?
I think it is
Or is
on the phone.
Okay, but it'll look normal to everybody else. Okay,
yeah,
that's good. Well, anyway,
that's how that works.
It's Final Faction, and this is based on a toy line that I had never heard of, and I assume the toys might also be available at dollar store. I'm not sure, but that's where I bought this. Was at the dollar store because I just thought it was the super generic looking, like ultra 90s comic that came out in February of 2022. And I was like, how does this exist? Why did this get published? This has to be funny. And Jason and I just read it down together, and you know what? This really did not disappoint. I'm glad we're talking about this. Jason, would you tell us just real briefly about Final Faction?
Yeah, so it's
just
about
tell us what the story's about. Actually, let me give credits real quick. This is script writer. Jason can get over the list of credits here. Script writer is Toby Osborne, and penciler and inker is Chris Marinow. And those are the guys who wrote this. As you can see, this is very, very throwbacky. When I picked it up just based on the cover alone, I assumed it was going to be mostly 90s throwback. But I think it's really wanting to be as much like, especially with the fake ads in the back, it's trying to be more like 50s, golden age, maybe getting into the silver age of like a war comic, like a war/sci-fi comic. That's what it's doing. I think it's a little bit at odds with itself. As to exactly what era we're going back to, or I wouldn't even call this parody or satire. I think it's like straight up trying to be, in a decades-old comic filled with thought balloons and everything. So yeah, tell us what happens in this.
So the story is about some kind of aliens that Karn, and they created the moon. And they're like the Borg, and they were in hibernation for a while, and then now they're scouring the Earth for resources. So this a guy who owns a cookie company has to
he doesn't actually own a cookie company.
Oh, well, he's pretending to own a cookie company.
He's a sergeant
and
in the military.
Got a dog named
Okay,
Turo.
so here's why he's saying that. You go to the back here and look at Sarge's cookie company, and this seems to be, so that's one of the fake ads here, and that seems to be a reference to one panel where he's in bad shape, and because he gets hurt in this fight, and he wakes up in the infirmary, and there's somewhere in here. I'm not seeing it now, but somewhere there's cookies, It's not important, but
It's not.
but there were cookies. Anyway, you guys are seeing all the madness before we get to any of it.
Yeah, there were and
Remember
then-
the part where the bad guy just sees a head
Yeah.
in like his viewing globe
And they're
of
basically,
Sarge?
Sarge puts together this band called the Faction.
The
something.
the final faction. It's
And-
not a band. It's a group of like military characters from around the globe.
Yes.
So they're supposed to be like the best of the best, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, and the idea is that for some reason only a small group of essentially superheroes made up of like army guys and marines and like airplane pilots and that kind of thing can stop this threat instead of just trying to call up the UN and get like as many armies together as possible to fight this threat.
Which is basically way better than what they're doing here. But oh yeah, and we put the Churro the dog into just
K9 from Doctor Who.
From Doctor Who.
Yeah, so let's talk about the moon thing that you mentioned, because that's kind of the big, we don't want to bury the lead here. I think that's kind of the headline here is that you guys won't believe this, but apparently, sorry, I'm trying to find it. Apparently, our moon is actually a spaceship. And so the Karn came here centuries ago before there were even human beings. And they were trying to pillage the Earth for resources, which is apparently what they do with every planet they go to. And this time around, it didn't work because there was some kind of solar storm. There's always these solar storms, Jason, in 50 sci-fi comics.
Yeah.
And like pulpish things, right? And so it like sticks the ship in orbit, and all of the Karn, all of these villainous aliens get stuck in stasis. So I guess they were already in stasis because it's the kind of time travel where you have to hibernate while you're traveling, and so they don't even know this has happened. And the reason our moon ends up looking like a moon, you gotta wonder how many other moons are made of spaceship.
Yeah.
But apparently the idea is a lot of dust got space debris got caked up all over the spaceship and made it look like the moon, and that's why it has craters and stuff.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the most original and unique and preposterous thing in this comic.
Yeah.
Oh, and why do we even know about all of this, by the way?
'Cause this one lady tells us.
But how does she know?
Because she read some book about it.
No, she has premonitions of the future.
Oh, she does.
Her name is Shift, and she can see the future.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she has superpowers, and nobody else seems to. But yeah, so we're introduced to each of, or at least most of, the characters that will make up this elite team before we know their names. So it's like, this person is on this part of the planet, and this guy's in Africa. And then, eventually, we finally just name them all at once. And
Yeah, it's kind of like Captain Planet.
it's a lot like Captain Planet. And it's a little clunky in establishing everyone, but one thing I actually did kind of appreciate, Jason, was that we're not spending like real long scenes with each of these characters before we finally bring them all together.
Right.
Like,
It's kind of just like, this guy's got a dog. This guy's in space. This woman's in some country,
Yeah. And then we keep cutting back to them as the aliens are attacking. Mm-hmm. So that part of it is not clunky. I actually sort of appreciated that structure of it. And then we just start naming everybody. So we've got Shift and Amari. These are just really original names. And Scope. Now, in defense of this writer, he is stuck with these action figures. And he is doing a pretty good job, actually, of adapting as much of this as possible. So this is a lot like Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s and 80s, where especially the 80s and the 90s actually, where something like He-Man or Ninja Turtles, where it's an action figure first and then a show has to be created to give kids a backstory, to give them context for their play. And that's actually exactly what this is. It's like, because we're already into 2 series of these action figures before this comic book even comes out. So ostensibly, kids are already playing with these figures if anybody's buying them. And then now there's a comic to explain all of this. And maybe that's why it's so throwbacky, is that it's kind of the old school method of selling toys, except it's not... They don't have the budget or the connections to make a television show. To make a cartoon show. So they're doing this instead. But you'll notice a lot of the characters we've been talking about are here. So you got the Synthoids, which are the robots that the Karn use to, in their invasion force. And you've got the ACRM, which is the robot that was dabbing, like a dancing robot. And there's Ruck and Shift. And I guess Sarge is called Steadfast, but I don't think we ever get that in the comic.
Yeah.
Or at least I didn't notice it. Steel, some of these characters have super generic or kind of ripped off names. Because I'm like, you can't have Steel. That's just John Henry Irons in 90s Superman comics. And like I said, a lot of the aesthetics of this is super 90s, even though the writing of it and even, I'd say, a lot of things about the art goes back a lot farther than that.
Yeah.
But you've got like a cyborg guy, Sarge. He's got kind of a cyborg arm that feels like a real 90s kind of thing. And Steel is just stealing John Henry Irons, except he's a Air Force pilot.
And he's got sunglasses.
Shift is very much an X-Men kind of character. Scope is right out of the 90s. And I think it's really funny that his name is Scope because he just looks in a scope all the time. And he's apparently super full of himself. The only interpersonal conflict you really get is Sarge telling Shift, well, I trained your brother who is Scope, and he's too much of an arrogant hot shot. He's always looking down his rifle scope, bragging how he's got the best aim. And that's the deepest characterization you get in this entire comic. And then by the end, they defeat the Karn, but there's this sense that they're going to just keep coming back like Power Rangers villains.
Yeah. So like it feels like a one shot, but it's actually kind of an ongoing.
Yeah, it absolutely feels like a one shot. It's like end of issue number 1 to be continued, and like a lot of this feels like these are people that have never made a comic book before.
Yep.
There's just a part of me that wants this moon to say hot or have a bite taken out of it.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's got a crack in it.
Yeah.
Because the moon is the spaceship.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird that the whole thing doesn't break off. Because it looked like it did at the beginning, I thought. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it just sort of got cracked. But then these guys come out of it, but they don't fully crack the moon and coming out of it. So that's weird.
I don't know.
I don't fully understand that. But yeah, it feels like a pilot for a cartoon show, certainly. Like it's very Saturday morning, and like every week we're gonna have, and they gotta have their sidekick dog and everything.
Yeah.
And every week the same bad guy is gonna come back again, but it's not really gonna be an ongoing story so much as just over and over again. We fill in for the formula. So they got that all spot on.
Yeah.
Jason, what do you like and not like with this silly comic we just read?
I like how like throwback it is, and how and I like how it's basically just a Power Rangers episode, and
the main villain is very Power Rangers.
Yeah, but I don't like the script. The
script writer?
I don't like the writing, and I don't like I feel like they could have gotten anyone else to write this, and it would have been 10 times better. But
that's a little harsh.
Not
I think
10 times,
but
but
the dialogue writing is really generic and not good.
Yeah.
Or at least a lot of it.
It is a good story just based off of toys.
Yeah.
Though, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a concept over execution problem here.
Yeah.
certainly, because I actually don't mind the concept. I think that the preposterous, insane notion that the moon is a spaceship is wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I think there's potential in some of this cast, even though they do feel real generic and real obvious archetypes, almost less than archetypes.
Yeah.
Some of them, but the villain's name is Diabol. That just sounds like a Power Rangers villain.
Yeah, it does.
You said while we were reading it that if this was a Power Rangers show, it's instantly better.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like as a premise for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Would you want to read another one of these? Probably not.
No, not really.
Hey, before we finish up here, would you want these toys?
Yeah. I think they would be cool to collect. Cause they look kind of small.
Yeah, the scale's. I don't know what the scale is
I'm not
exactly
sure
because I
what
haven't
the
seen them in
scale-
person. I don't think. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
think I've seen.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I've maybe seen one or two of these somewhere, but I don't remember what the size is. If I have, I don't know. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'm just thinking like I looked into this when I bought it and I found out they were so maybe I'm just remembering like JPEGs I saw on Google or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if they're like 3-inch figures or even smaller than that.
Yeah.
But we haven't even mentioned this, but this whole thing is very G.I. Joe.
Yeah. It is.
So before we finish up here, let me pick this up again, and let's just fake ads, Jason. Why don't you point some of these out? What do we have here?
Yeah, we got Professor Bizarro's
Professor Bizarro? I haven't even looked at some of these yet.
His disappearing potion, one drop and you vanish into thin air. Imagine the possibilities of invisibility.
See, they would promise a lot of these things that obviously they couldn't deliver on. Have you looked at ads like this
Results may vary.
in old comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Results may vary. And then we've got Final Faction Cola. Do you like that some of these things are actually based on the comic you just read, or is it better if they're not?
I do like that.
Okay, because it's not real authentic in that way.
Yeah. Like I liked the ads for the like action figures in Watchmen.
Oh.
Like I thought that was cool.
And then we have this canned laughter. Are your jokes terrible? Do people groan instead of laugh? We have the solution. You need canned laughter. Whenever your corny jokes fall flat, just pop open a jar of laughter and get the right reception for your funnies, no matter how funny they are. That makes you the Joker, I think. Ha 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 ha. Go from wah wah to ha ha. And then we had Sarge's Cookie Company. I think that was Jason's favorite. Established 2050 AD. We didn't even mention the far-flung future of 2050.
Oh, right.
And then Unlock Your Inner Guru. And then we have, look, Live Your Life Without Fear. Don't be scared of the unknown with instant bravery. But only 20 scoops of it. Only 20 scoops of bravery. So if you want to be brave more often than 20 times, you're going to need to buy more bravery.
Yeah.
Gonna do it for us today. So I started saying this at the beginning of the show, and then we moved on, and I didn't get a chance to complete this sentiment. But the reason I didn't think I was gonna actually be able to review this year is because, or for not Spawn year, is because I guess I could have just taken scans myself, but this wasn't a thing that I was able to find scans for like I usually do, or a digital version.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, it's gonna be hard to put on the screen and it not look kind of not great. So I was kind of avoiding it, and then being on this trip and having to just do this sort of guerrilla style anyway, I was like, okay, now's the time. I'll just put the camera on it. You guys can see the pages, but
Yeah.
that worked out okay. I just got a new phone and the camera's a lot better, so.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will, Jason actually, and I almost definitely both tomorrow, we'll see you with another one.
Yeah.
And I already know what we're doing, and Jason doesn't, and I'm excited about that.
Is it something good? Oh, it's right there.
It is something good.
Oh.
Okay, now Jason has seen it. Oh, no, that's not a big deal, but now Jason has seen
I
it.
have seen it,
Yeah.
and it looks
good.
Are you excited
Yes, I'm very
that we
excited.
get to review
because
something different?
I have been wanting.
Have you always wanted to review that?
I've been wanting you to review it.
Well, you'll get to do it with
so
me.
I get to do it with you. So. Very
But we're not gonna tell you what it is yet.
Yeah, you don't. You don't get to know yet.
Who is your favorite character in Final Faction, Jason?
Churro.
I was gonna say it's the dog, right?
It's the dog.
Yep.
Or it's the one scientist lady.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the scientist.
That's like.
Who makes the robots?
I made a robot.
Yeah, so I've read this now. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again tomorrow. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
And this was Jason. Happy reading, guys.